make the turn. As I made the turn, their choice was to either hit the parked car or to hit me, and they hit me.
So what happened was they were being squeezed between your car and the parked car, correct?
Well, they didn't have to make that turn.
But again, to answer my question, what happened was they were between your car and the parked car?
There wasn't enough space between me and the parked car.
Just one moment. I think there is a misstatement as to north and south. You were on 3rd Street.
No, this is not 3rd.
Which street is that?
I believe it was around 6th.
For the record, the diagram indicated that the witness was in the farthest most left-hand lane, one-way street, making a left-hand turn onto a two-way street, and that the defendant vehicle was in the center lane and tried to make the same turn.
The way you have the cars on the diagram, it looks like the front of defendant's car struck the right rear portion of your vehicle. Is that actually what happened? Did the front of their car hit yours?
Correct. Their left-hand front, my right-hand rear.
No further questions.
All right, you may step down and call your next witness.
Would you please state your full name and spell your last name?
My name is Fortune Choi, C-H-O-I.
On September 9 of this year, a little after 3 o'clock p.m., were you in the downtown area of San Jose?
Yes,
Did you see some vehicles that seemed to be behaving out of the ordinary?
yes.
What did you see happening?
I saw a green Camaro hit a green Gran Torino when they turned left.
What happened then?
Both cars stop and look, then suddenly Gran Torino speed up. Camaro follows and tries to cut him off. In that instant, I knew something is wrong.
So what did you do?
So I follow, and next thing I see, Camaro cuts in front of Gran Torino like this.
And both vehicles were stopped?
Yes.
What did you observe or do next?
So I stop and see 2 guys pushing owner of Gran Torino. I run over and ask, what is going on?
Go ahead.
Well, a fellow from Camaro holding a crowbar walks up to me and, excuse my language, he said, what the hell are you doing here? You have no business here. You didn't see nothing. Don't mess in this.
How was he dressed?
I don't remember, but other fellow with axe has white t-shirt.
Can you describe it? Some t-shirts have V's in front and some are scoop-necked.
I think that's hard because I see axe and crowbar and I do not concentrate on how they dress, okay?
I understand that. Go ahead. I am teasing you.
Ask that be stricken.
Stricken.
I am looking at one guy in the hand, the other guy in the waist.
The other guy what?
For the record, indicating his waist at the left hip area.
What happened next?
I talked with a guy with crowbar and he yelled to guy with axe, hey, we got kung fu here.
What happened then?
And then crowbar guys say, hey, I know karate, and he challenged me to fight.
What happened then?
I find I am in bad situation, so I say I am going back to my car. I drive away and very soon I see police and send him to help.
Okay, could you identify those people by where they are seated here? Also, I believe you have a cut. There is some blood on your cheek.
It is dry already, thank you. Those 2 guys right here with brown jumpsuits on.
That will indicate the defendants for the record.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Choi, do you recall the attitude of the Torino owner when you first arrived on the scene? Did he seem angry?
No, because I tell him I see what happened.
Did he seem angry at the other guys?
I don't look.
Did the Torino driver seem angry at anyone?
I can't tell.
Nothing further.
All right, you may step down.
Please state your name, full name, and spell your last name.
Sherman Terry Boone, B-O-O-N-E.
On September 9 of this year, a little after 3 in the afternoon, were you on duty as a San Jose police sergeant?
I was.
Did somebody flag you down?
Yes.
What did he do?
He yelled something about someone was armed and dangerous, and he pointed at a green Chevrolet turning the corner.
I didn't hear the answer at all. Have it read back.
The reporter will read it.
Did you stop that vehicle?
I did.
Did you recognize the driver of the vehicle here in court?
I'm not sure which one was driving. Both these gentlemen in the brown uniforms were in the vehicle.
Can you tell them apart today?
Not really. I have to refer to my report.
Well, do you remember anything unusual about their eyes at that time?
Oh yes, one of them had a bad eye, but I don't recall which brother it was.
I have some photos. Take a look at them.
Can I see those?
See if they refresh your memory.
I'd like to see the photos first.
Okay.
Watch Emily Rose. Have a good.
200, 4 boys, 12 minutes.
Watching Emily Rose.
200, 4 boys, 12
I
minutes.
was writing it.
We are starting off with examination by Plaintiff's attorney. Plaintiff's attorney is Mr. Pearman, P-E-A-R-M-A-N. Defense attorney is Mr. Salter, S-A-L-T-E-R. Okay, 12 minutes. Where exactly on the lot was it? It was under a thing, sort of, I don't know what you call it. It serves the same purpose as a tarp when you put it over a truck. It was under one of them and I just drove it out. It was right next to the driveway, right close, and I just drove it out. It had a tarp on it. You said it was covered above it. You say you don't remember what color the interior was, is that right? That's right. Do you remember anything specifically about the top of the vehicle? In other words, you stated it had one of these black vinyl tops, is that correct? I don't know if there is vinyl on it, but it is cloth, fabric, yes, little indentions, something like a rug. I don't know exactly how to put it, but it is little indentions. Did the car have any license plate on it when you took it? Well, I didn't check. I glanced and I just passed right through. I didn't think of that. Like I said, I was loaded. During the 2 weeks that you had it, did you ever see any license plates on it? Well, Your Honor, I told you that someone changed it. What was on it before they changed it? Before? Well, I loaned it to someone. Well, when you loaned it to him, what kind of plates did it have? I don't know. You never looked at the plates? No, I loaned it within 12 hours after I took it, and I wasn't paying too much attention to this. How did you know that the plates were changed? He told me. Did the car have rolled up windows or did it have electric windows? It had electric windows. Do you know what make the car was? You said it was a Buick. Do you know what make it was? A Riviera. You stated that you were chained. What kind of wheels? What kind of wheels? Yes, I don't know. Wire wheels, wooden wheels? Well, they were just regular wheels. I didn't take time to look at the wheels. I was busy stealing the car. During the time that you had it 2 weeks. Did you ever notice the wheels? No, I never really watched it. I didn't notice the wheels. I was mainly worried about getting rid of it then. I was trying to think of a place to put it where it wouldn't be found for a while. Was there anybody present on the lot when you took the vehicle? No one in my sight. Was the lot open when you took the vehicle? Yes. It was during the day or early evening, right around 4:30 or 5 o'clock? Yes, I drove right out. It was somewhere around there. You don't remember what color the dashboard was? Well, not really. The main direction I looked, I think, was behind me and to the sides to see if the policeman had saw me or anything. What color was the top inside? Inside? Yes. The top? Yes. I don't think I ever looked at that either. I just took it more or less because I was feeling sorry for myself. It didn't have an automatic shift on it. It had a floor setup. It had a floor shift. It had a floor shift? Yes. You mean with the shift between the seats? Yes. You stated that you had been chained to David Alvarado, is that right? The gentleman seated to my left, I was chained to him, yes. Prior to this time, you had never seen him before, is that right? That's right. And when were you chained to him? Was it this morning or what? Yes, this morning while we were getting on the bus and during the ride down here. Did you discuss the case during the ride down here? No. The only thing that was said was I said in his direction that I knew the woman that just got on the bus. From the place that you took the car out of the lot, were there a lot of other cars right around that general vicinity? Other cars what? Were there other cars right around this black Buick that you took? No. There was one on the end. You mean, was there cars parked beside it? Yes. No. It was actually by itself. It wasn't outstanding, no, but it was by itself. I mean, there was other cars in that Buick place. Do you remember what day of the week it was that you took the car? No, I don't. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Yes. What was that? What felony? Possession of marijuana. Nothing further, Your Honor. I have one or two questions, Your Honor. Yes. You have told us that on the day you took this car, you were loaded, using your words. Yes. What do you mean by loaded? Well, I was under the influence of a couple of drugs. Under the influence of narcotics at the time you took the car? Yes. You said on your way here today that you were chained to Mr. Alvarado, is that correct? I was chained to that man there. You mean here? Yes. And did you discuss his case with him at all? No, sir. The only discussion was in the room back here. You were back in the tank, the holding tank, with him also, is that correct? While he was in there with me, while I was in the courtroom, you discussed the case then? No. All that was said, he asked me where I met the woman, and I said at a bar. And he said he knew where the bar was. He told you he knew where the bar was. I told him the name of the bar, and he said, I know where it is at. I said, I asked her to get some marijuana for me, and she didn't say nothing. And she said she didn't have a car, so I just gave her the keys, and I was expecting to get her back. And he told me that is what he was being accused of, and I said, well, take me to court, and I will tell them. This just happened to be a coincidence that you happened to talk to him. Is that it? That is correct. It just happens to be a coincidence that you happened to take the car that he was accused of taking. I will object to the form of the question as being argumentative, sustained. You said earlier that you were trying to get rid of the car. Is that right? Yes, sir. How long after you took the car did you try to get rid of the car? Well, I started worrying about it as soon as I come down from under the influence of narcotics. How long was it after you took the car? About 9 hours, I see. What kind of narcotic? Marijuana. And is there any reason why you just didn't leave it on the same street and walk away? I could have done that, but just leaving a car on some street, it didn't strike my fancy. I could have drove it up to Topanga Canyon and run it off the cliff or something, but that struck me as being just as logical as leaving it in the street. Didn't you think it was, you were worried about having the car because you were worried about being arrested? Yes. Didn't you think there was more of a possibility that you would be arrested driving it than it would be more of a possibility if you left it on a street and walk away? That is why I loaned it out. It was because I didn't want to be driving it. You say you loaned it out to someone who changed the license plate? Yes. Some male or female? Well, at this time it was both times until this incident. Didn't you say somebody told you they changed the license plates? That's right. Was this a man or a woman who told you that? A man. What was his name? I don't know his name. You don't know his name? That's right. Did you ever loan the car? I would rather not say. Then you do know his name? Yes. When you said you didn't know his name, you were lying. Is that correct? No. I was talking too fast. You know. What's the name of this person whose name you do know? I would rather not say. I ask the court to direct this witness to answer the question. Answer the question? No, sir. I didn't hear what happened. He said no, sir. He would not answer, which places him in contempt, but he is in bigger trouble by now. You have been committed to the CYA, is that correct? Yes. And you were aware of the fact that if you were convicted of stealing this automobile, and you, as a juvenile, a young man under 21, were sent to the CYA for the theft of this automobile, it would be considered a misdemeanor by sentence. Isn't that correct? That's right. You understand that. Would you explain what CYA is? CYA is California Youth Authority. Yes, and being under 21, you are eligible to go to the California Youth Authority. Yes. You also know that you may not go to the Youth Authority in any event, right? You understand that having been committed to the CYA, you are now on patrol from the CYA. Is that correct? That is not correct. You understand that as a young man under 21, if you were convicted of grand theft auto and you were sent to the CYA because you were sent to the CYA, it would only be a misdemeanor and not a felony. He has answered that question. Furthermore, it is calling for a legal conclusion. Objection sustained. No further questions. Nothing further. That is all. Call your next witness. I call David Alvarado. Be seated and state your full name, please. David Alvarado. You are a defendant in this case, is that right? Yes. And Matilda Alvarado here. Is she your wife? Yes. I want to direct your attention to the early morning hours of November 17, 1965. That is the day you were arrested. Do you recall that? Yes, sir. Was that about 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning? Yes, sir. And were you in a 65 Buick automobile? Yes, sir. And was Matilda Alvarado in that same car? Yes, sir. When did you first see that car? I seen the car earlier in the day. Of that day? Yes. That is the day, that is the first time you saw the car? Yes, sir. That would be the day before November 17th. Well, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. Before 12 o'clock. Did you see it before 12 o'clock? Right. Before 12 o'clock midnight? Right. That would be November 16th. Is that right? Yes, sir. Now, about what time on November 16th did you first see the Buick automobile? About 8 or 9 o'clock. And where were you when you first saw it? I was at home. At what address? 1517 East 50th Street. Were you living there with your wife? Well, not really. We were planning on getting together, but we had stayed there a couple of days. You mean you were separated from your wife at that time? Well, yes. Describe the circumstances. How did you happen to see the car about 8 o'clock on the evening of November 16th. Well, she phoned up, speak into the microphone. She phoned up and I answered the phone and she was coming down to the house. I said, okay, you know, and then I told her we better go look for an apartment and she said, okay, you know, and I asked her about the car. You asked her about what car? About the 65 Buick, and she said she had borrowed it from somebody, you know, and she asked me if I knew where I could get any weed. Wait a minute, are you telling us about a telephone conversation or when she came over to the premises? When she came over? She came over? Yes. I thought you said she phoned you. She phoned me and told me she was coming home. That is when you had this conversation. That is when she got home and then we talked. After she phoned you, she came over? Yes. About what time did she come over? It was about 8:30, somewhere around there. Did you see the car she came over in? Right. Was it the 65 black Buick automobile? Yes, sir. Had you ever seen that car before? No, sir. Did you talk to her about that car? Well, I just asked her, where did you get the new car? What did she say? She said that a friend of hers had loaned it to her. How long before November 16 was it that you had seen Matilda? It was earlier that morning, the day before. You mean the morning of November 16? Right, when I went to work. Were you employed at this time? Yes. Where were you working? Epps Industries. What kind of work were you doing? I was operating a cut-out machine for tubing. How long had you been employed there? About 2.5 months. You said that you saw Matilda earlier in the morning? Yes. Did she come over to your house earlier that morning? She stayed there that night. You stayed there the previous night? Yes. After she came over at 8 or 9 o'clock the night of November 16, did you and she go together in the automobile? Yes. In this Buick automobile? Yes. Were you with her until you were arrested at about 1:30 the following morning? Yes. Did you steal that car? No, I didn't steal the car. I will direct your attention to November 3rd of 1965. Did you take a 65 black Buick Riviera automobile off the Lawson Buick Company on Sepulveda? No, I don't know where that is at. I have never been in Santa Monica. Were you there at the Lawson Buick Company earlier on November 3rd when you asked some man if you could buy a car for $300 down? No, sir. Do you drive a 56 Thunderbird automobile? No, sir, I don't even have a license. Do any of your friends own or drive a 56 Thunderbird automobile? No, sir. This Gordon's Bar, are you familiar with that bar? Yes, I am familiar with that bar. Where is that located? It is on Holmes and Gage. Holmes and Gage? Yes. That is on the east side of the city, isn't it? Yes, sir. This young man who testified here just before you, when is the first time that you ever saw him in the bus coming over here? Today? Yes. Had you ever seen him before in your life? No, sir. You heard Mr. Leake testify, is that correct? Yes. When he said this Gordon's Bar was in Santa Monica or somewhere on the west side, you say he is incorrect, is that correct? I am not responsible for what he said. I am not asking you that. I didn't say you were responsible. Is he incorrect in his statement that it was in Santa Monica? As far as I'm concerned, yes. By the way, you and your wife have 4 children, is that correct? Yes. I have no further questions. You saw the first gentleman that came in here and testified for the people, George Lesser. He was the first witness that testified today. The one with the glasses, the first one that testified. Is that the one with the glasses? No, he is not. Had you ever seen either of the 2 gentlemen that testified today? No, neither one. You never seen the one that said on the stand that he recognized you? He didn't recognize me. He had never seen me. You had never been to this Lawson Buick, right? No, sir. Never at any time? No, sir. Did you inquire of your wife when she stated that a friend had loaned that car to her? Did you ask her who loaned it to her? No. You just got in and drove it, is that right? Yes. You had occasion to talk to Mr. Leek back in the holding tank today, didn't you? Yes. How long did you talk to him? About 20 minutes. You were in the same, in other words, you were in custody in the same area? Yes. Okay, let's go 1 minute at 2:25. Just 1 minute. You saw the first gentleman that came in here and testified for the people, George Lesser. He was the first witness that testified today, the one with the glasses, the first one that testified. Is that the one with the glasses? No, he is not. Had you ever seen any of the two gentlemen that testified today? No, neither one. You never seen the one that said on the stand that he recognized you? He didn't recognize me. He had never seen me. And you had never been to this Lawson Buick, right? No, sir. Never at any time? No, sir. Did you inquire of your wife when she stated that a friend had loaned that car to her? Did you ask her who loaned it to her? No. You just got in and drove it, is that right? Yes. You had occasion to talk to Mr. Leek back in the holding tank today, didn't you? Yes. How long did you talk to him? About 20 minutes. You were in the same, in other words, you were in custody in the same area? Yes. And you have been in there since this morning, about 9 o'clock, isn't that right? Well, I don't know. There are no clocks around. When you came out today, you and Mr. Leek were chained together, isn't that right? Yes. How did you happen to talk about this matter? I was sitting down on the bus, and automatically when women come up, they are all male prisoners, and everybody stops to look at the women. I was looking at my wife, and he stated he knew her. Apparently the jurors can't hear him, Your Honor. A little louder, please. He stated he knew my wife, and, I got to wondering, where did he know her from? Okay, here we go. This is a 2:25 four-voice test for 5 minutes. Starts with question by defense attorney. Now, during a good portion of that, was Jesse with you? Yes. And how do you recall that he was with you? He was right behind me most of the time. And were you more or less talking? No, we were just trying to stop the disturbance, trying to stop Carlos from getting further involved? Yes. At any time that night, did you see Jesse strike anybody? No. At any time that night, did you see a knife in Jesse's hand? No. Now, your wife left the group that you were in, right? Yes. And had she been with that particular group there for a while before she left? I'd say about 1 or 2 minutes. She had been right there, is that correct? Yes. And during the time that she had been in your little group, was Jesse there also? Yes. And approximately, if you can estimate just prior to her leaving and going over to where she went, how long had Jesse been with you continuously? I think about 5-10 minutes, about that. Was he with you before they started beating on this car? Yes. Was Carlos also with you at that time? Yes. I have nothing further. Mr. Medina, on July 24, did you know Mr. Bonilla here by name? No, I didn't. Had you ever seen him before that date to your knowledge? I don't recall. Do you recall seeing him at all on the evening of July 24? Yes. And where did you see him, if you recall? Inside the hall. Did you ever see him outside the hall on that evening? No. Did you ever see anything in his hands like a tire iron or knife or anything like that? I never seen him. Now, Carlos, you say, complained of being hit with a tire iron. He just said he was struck. Did he hold any part of his body when he was saying this? Where did he appear to be hurt? He held his chest and his mouth. He didn't say what he was struck with, is that right? Well, when he said he got struck in the mouth, he didn't say anything then. And then he said, as he was grabbing the tire iron, he said he was struck with a tire iron. Now that was when he was holding his chest or pointing to his chest? No, that's when he was picking up the tire iron. He appeared to be hurt both in the mouth and chest area, yes. He didn't say that he had been hit in any particular area with that tire iron, is that right? No, he just said he was struck. He didn't say that they hit him in the mouth with a tire iron or the chest with a tire iron or anything of that nature? No. But after he said that, just that he was struck with a tire iron, struck. I have nothing further. You indicated that you saw the defendant Bonilla inside the hall. This is during the reception that evening. That was during the wedding dance. Would that be after 8 or 9 o'clock in that area? Yes. Did you notice him doing anything in there, anything exceptional? No. Just walking around talking? I just glanced at him as, people were passing by. I seen him as I glanced around. Did you notice if he was drinking any beer or anything like that, or do you remember? I don't recall. You wouldn't know if he was smoking or just what he would be doing. No, I don't. Now, did the police arrive at any time while you were present there, while this fighting and so on was going on? No. You had left before the police arrived, is that right? Yes. And do I take it that you left or took Carlos to get some medical treatment? Yes. Did you happen to see the group where the victim, the boy that was beaten, did you see that group in the parking lot? No. And did you even know somebody had been attacked and beaten up? And that was after my wife had left the group, which I was talking with. And you were told that somebody had been beaten? Yes. You never really actually saw that group or that attack or anything? No. And so I would be right in assuming that you didn't really know when the attack took place in relation to when you were with Jesse Alec or when he was with Carlos or anything else. Do you understand my question? Yes. Would that be true that you wouldn't know when in point of time that attack would have taken place, other than the fact that your wife told you later? I wouldn't know. Now, you saw a car being dented and being damaged, is that correct? Is that about the time that your wife left the area? It happened for quite a little while there. The car was being struck. It happened for a couple of minutes. And did your wife, if you can recall, did she leave the area just about the time that was going on or after it ended? She left about the same time. At any time while you were standing there, did you see Jesse run back to you or run away from you at that particular time? No. She said he was with you continuously for about 5 to 10 minutes before your wife left. At any time during those 5 to 10 minutes, did you see him run away and run back from where you were? From where I was standing? Yes. The group? Yes. No. He was in your group, is that correct? Yes. You indicated that you saw the windows being broken out of one car? Yes. Did you observe the people that were doing that? I just seen the backs of people breaking the vehicle. Did you observe enough to be able to say whether or not Mr. Bonilla might have been one of those people? No. You just don't know, is that right? I just glanced and turned around. I have no further questions, just one question. When you saw Mr. Bonilla inside, was he with anybody or did you see him alone? I seen him with Mr. Alec there. You saw them together, is that right? Yes. And did you see Mr. Alec with anybody else there other than Mr. Bonilla? I don't recall. Do you know if he danced with anybody that you know of there? I don't recall. Alcohol prep, sponge count, sterile gauze, bluish tinge, bedside rails, ankle support, latex gloves, patellar reflex, irrigation tray, plastic drape, infrared lamp, finger splint, Kelly forceps, frozen section, ace bandage, adhesive tape, betadine swab, poison antidote, Penrose drain, isolation gown, inflatable splint, medicine cups, whirlpool bath, Colles fracture, oblique incision, vein retractors, urine specimen, hand restraints, Foley catheters, suture scissors, treatment table, triangle bandage, waterproof tape, cervical traction, sodium chloride, tongue depressor, butterfly closure, subjective symptom, ammonia inhalant, sodium chloride, extensive hemorrhage, general anesthetic, neurological testing, mosquito forceps, bone chisel, skin flap, jugular vein, stab wound, silk suture, lymph node, kidney stones, cotton sutures, peptic ulcer, pigmented cells, nasal septum, herpes zoster, sensory organ, chemical compound, abnormal occlusion, inferior angle, carotid artery, mental disorder, local anesthetic, electrical activity, tracheal rings, central incisors, dorsal surface, mucous membrane, lower quadrant, nasogastric tube, parotid gland, cephalic vein, medulla oblongata, chronic pleurisy, striated muscle, respiratory tract, hernial protrusion, reproductive system, duodenal ulcer, McBurney incision, vertebral column, deciduous teeth, salivary glands, submandibular duct, surgical intervention, olecranon process, intervertebral disc, pyloric sphincter, distal phalanx, inguinal canal, dorsal aspect, cervical fascia, accessory duct, lacrimal dilator, laryngeal pharynx, vermiform appendix, rheumatoid arthritis, hydrochloric acid, ventricular valve, blunt dissection, ileocecal valve, ascending branch, clavicular notch, spinal accessory, metatarsal shaft, serous discharge, umbilical hernia, interstitial fibrosis, closed reduction, endotracheal tube, lateral meniscus, deviated septum, traumatic arthritis, fibrocystic disease, horizontal incision, circumscribed area, submucous resection, operative reduction, Metzenbaum forceps, subcutaneous tissue, intestinal perforation, hyperplastic growth, fibrous pericardium, myocardial infarction, tympanic membrane, psychoplegic refraction, spontaneous rupture, ligamentous instability, intravenous pyelogram, subperiosteal reflection, perforative appendicitis, dorso-recumbent position. Okay, one more set.
Huh? I know, huh?
Intestinal ring clamp, inadequate fluid intake, right lower quadrant, chromic catgut suture, restricted leg raising, binocular eye bandage, common duct dilator, large bowel obstruction, condylar knee prosthesis, femoral neck retractor, perennial allergic rhinitis, pectoralis major muscle, thoracic aortic aneurysm, pulmonary artery clamps, mid-systolic apical murmur, interrupted silk sutures, magnetic resonance image, horizontal